Assemblyman Ancil Dennis will continue to serve as Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. A further confirmation of this came from Mr. Dennis in a brief address to the nation on Sunday night. Mr. Dennis said he has been legally advised that the Assembly had been dissolved, and in accordance with the Tobago House of Assembly Act 40 of 1996, the Executive Council shall continue to discharge its functions during any period that the Assembly stands dissolved.
Additionally, the THA Act says that the Chief Secretary and the Deputy Chief Secretary shall vacate their offices when a successor is administered the oath in sections 36(1) and 2. Therefore, Mr. Joel Jack and I, as incumbents, remain in these positions.
And according to Section 33 of the THA Act, a secretary shall vacate his or her office when a person is appointed or reappointed as Chief Secretary. As such, Mr. Dennis said he is prepared to request the resignation of those secretaries who did not seek re-election and were replaced as assemblymen. He said the remaining secretaries will be assigned additional portfolios to facilitate this change. Due to last Monday's 6-6 result following the THA's election, the Assembly is yet to appoint the Executive Council, which includes the Chief Secretary, Deputy Chief Secretary, and no more than 7 secretaries. The Progressive Democratic Patriot says it is not afraid to return to the polls, as the People's National Movement is proposing. However, the party believes the law must be fixed first. In a statement on Monday morning, the party said based on the Tobago House of Assembly Act, returning to the polls at this time is a challenge as it requires the dissolution of the Assembly, which is guided by a presiding officer. The PDP noted that it would also be mathematically possible to end in another tie, and therefore action on the part of the Parliament is needed once a fresh election is to be triggered. The party has once again called on PNM Tobago political leader Tracy Davidson Celestine to meet to discuss autonomy for Tobago. The newly sworn-in Assemblyman returned to the Assembly chamber this morning with the aim of electing a presiding officer. This after a letter was sent by the PDP requesting that the clerk of the House reconvene the voting process, citing that it should take place ad nauseam according to law.